Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is Amr Moussa. He's a former Secretary General of the Arab League and one of the main leaders of the opposition in Egypt. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
I want to begin with the situation in Egypt. There's a lot of tension between the president and the opposition. How would you judge the situation right now in Egypt?
Well, the situation is still tense. And I should say it is only normal that the opposition would raise issues of criticism to the policy of the government. This is the essence of democracy. Democracy does not only produce governments, but it produces opposition. And our position is very clear, that reform is a must, and we have to rebuild the country. We don't see that either one is on the priority list as yet.
Do you think that the current president, Mohamed Mursi, is someone who is a real democrat?
Well, he is the produce of a democratic system. He came as a result of elections. And therefore, he has to preside over a government that does promote and respect the democratic process. And this is the essence of whatever a new republic is all about.
But is this happening?
It is so far the challenges for democracy. Democracy in the real sense of the word. Democracy is not only the box, but democracy is human rights. Democracy is the rights of citizens, including women. It is the separation of powers. It is the independence of judiciary, etc. And we see a lot of things that are not in their place. And democracy is not really progressing as it must be.
Let me ask you the question in a very straight way. Do you think that the Muslim Brotherhood, the president, is bent on imposing its will on the country and does not really care about democracy? They want power and they want to impose.
You are raising two issues. First one, that they are not following the democratic means, promoting democracy as such. We have doubts about that. However, I must also talk about the freedom of expression, which you can see and feel in Egypt that it is being done. But the test is coming. The term of the president is 4 years. The next elections are due to take place on the 2016. This has to be respected. The ballot box has to decide who is the next president of Egypt.
In terms of the opposition, there is a National Salvation Front, but many people are very disappointed with the opposition. Do you share their disappointment?
Because of the high expectations. People want solutions. People want better life. People want to see the difference between a previous regime and the new regime. And they don't see that something serious has happened. And they put the blame not only on the government, but also on the opposition. But the opposition, partly perhaps, but not entirely. The opposition is calling for action, calling on the government to act, calling on the government to change, calling on the government to reform. And we are going to challenge the next elections.
You're going to participate in the elections?
The debate is going in that direction, because the boycotting the elections had to do with those elections that were due to take place at the end of April. Any new date, any new elections coming in the fall, before or after, this is a different issue that has to be to have a decision by us, and we have not said at all that the boycott is to be extended to the next elections.
You would like to participate?
Yes, I see. I believe that this is important.
Last question on Egypt, the economic situation. Do you believe Egypt is on the verge of collapse?
Look, the amount of money that has been raised in the recent weeks, and the expected deal with the IMF would perhaps postpone the collapse of the Egyptian economy, provided that this money will be well used to reactivate the economy, to reactivate the production, to deal with and to add and work on the structural building of the Egyptian economy, not just from hand to mouth. This is a must. There must be a vision. There must be a plan. There must be a transparency in whatever steps the government is going to take. We don't see that now. But we are calling, as opposition, we are calling on them to follow this track.
I want to get to the regional situation. Obviously, Syria is still a major concern. I think you were recently in Lebanon. There is a spillover effect, it seems, in Lebanon, maybe with Israel. What is your sense?
Well, of course, there will be spillover in Lebanon and in Jordan and in all the neighboring countries, including Palestine and Israel. So we have to analyze the situation in Syria properly. It is part of the what you call Arab Spring, but that is not the whole story. It is a different thing, a different situation that has effects, that will have its effects on the neighboring countries in terms of stability, in terms of if there is any plan, and I hope that there is none, any plan to partition the country, this will have a domino effect all over. So I hope that at this stage, where big powers are dealing with each other, trying to reach a compromise, they have to bear in mind that they should respect the sovereignty of Syria. They should respect also the interests of the Arab world in this region. They should also know that the root causes of tension in this region have to do with economic reasons, but also with political reasons. And we have to address the real problems like the Palestinian question, the Arab-Israeli conflict, the sovereignty of Syria, of Iraq, of Lebanon, of Jordan, in addition to the fact that there are other problems connected to it, like the relationship between Shia and Sunni, the Kurdish situation, and so on.
But in terms of Syria, many people thought Bashar al-Assad would go. The Western countries, Arab countries, the Arab League said he should go. Obviously, he's still there. Do you see now a need to change? And do you think this is what's happening, maybe with a transitional...
As we see, there is a kind of understanding being promoted between big powers for negotiations that would involve the Syrian regime. So there is a change here. It seems that the deal is going in a different direction or through a different route.
And you think that's the better route? It's better to try to deal with Bashar rather than pray for him to leave?
This does not exclude that. This does not exclude that, because after all what happened in Syria, it cannot get back to square one, just like that, easily done. It cannot do that. But the point is that, okay, what is the future of Syria? It has to do with democracy. And it has to do with the fact that Syria is an Arab country and is a very important country in this sub-region itself. And it cannot be, the future can be drawn only by an understanding between America and Russia. There has to be a voice for the Arab world at the table which decides the future of this sub-region, as well as all the other players, Turkey, Iran, and the rest.
Talking of Iran, are you concerned by the involvement of Iran and of Hezbollah in Syria? Now it's out there, it's official.
The question is not, are you disturbed? They are there. They were there before. They were there before. And the title of the Syrian issue should be Syria cum Iran. Iran is there. So what should be done? I believe, as others, many others believe, that the conference of Geneva, if it is convened, if it is to be convened, should invite all those stakeholders,
including
whether
Iran.
whether we like them or not. Of course, including Iran. We have to hear their views, and they have to hear the views of the international community in this conference.
Do you think Hezbollah is taking a major gamble by going into Syria, supporting the regime?
The whole thing is a gamble anyway.
You think so?
Yeah.
And what about Israel's involvement? We've seen Israel bombing Syria, threats on both sides. Do you think
that this is not involvement? This is aggression. This is a different story. Israel is not involved and cannot be involved as long as the Arab-Israeli conflict continues, as long as the Palestinian question is not resolved. They cannot be involved. They cannot be invited. In order to get involved in the present and the future of the region, Israel has to rethink its policy towards the Arab-Israeli conflict and towards the Palestinian question.
But do you think Bashar might try to provoke Israel to go into a full-fledged war? Is this a risk?
I don't think so. No, things are, in terms of wars, etc., are much localized within Syria, and everybody else is aware of the dangers of going beyond talking about war, provoking a regional war. The region is not ready for any such war now.
Including Israel?
I believe that the efforts is to get Israel to cooperate in solving the Palestinian question rather than in having another war at the present juncture.
Last question on this issue. Any hope on the horizon? We're 20 years after Oslo and many people think we're back to square one or even not even there.
Yeah, we are back to square one after Oslo, after 20 years that you mentioned. And we cannot continue along the same ways and means to manage the crisis rather than to solve the problem. Managing the crisis is the wrong road towards peace. Nobody in the Arab world now view with respect the so-called peace process, the so-called negotiating table, because it proved to be just another way to procrastinate, to gain time, and to change the nature of the territory itself, life in the territory, occupied territories themselves. Now is the time to be serious, not to manage and just invite delegations to a room with the cameras. Here the delegations are sitting, but real solutions.
Do you think Bibi Netanyahu is ready for this?
I don't know whether he is ready or not, but if he is not ready, he will delay a positive change in the region for so many years.
Okay, Amr Moussa, thank you very much for your time, for answering our questions. Thank you very much for watching this edition of The Interview here on France 24.